Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Superman and Lois Season 4. So Superman and Lois is well underway for its final season, with them being on episode 2, like towards the end of episode 2, probably in the back half at least at this point, somewhere around there. And one of the big questions we have had, not the biggest, but just one of the bigger questions we've had is where do the guest stars fit into this final season? As we know, most of the series regulars were dropped heading into season 4 with only the Kent family, and then of course Lex Luthor staying on as series regulars. But we know that all of them are coming back for a handful of episodes each as guest stars, probably some more than others, but it's probably going to range from like 2 to 3 episodes. Now, for episode 1, it seems that maybe the only guest stars will be the characters on Lex Luthor's squad, and I think those characters will appear in this season probably more than the former series regulars, to be honest. The only character that I think could be in episode 1 potentially is General Lane. He's the only one that I think maybe could be in episode 1, and like the only one, and then the others are in future episodes after that. But we do know that the Cushing family will be back for episode 2. Sarah, Lana, and Kyle, all their actors arrived in prep for that second episode, but we know they should be in, as I said before, probably only 2 or 3 more episodes after that. And just quickly to add in, I just saw this before I made the video, but the wife or the partner at the very least of Dylan Walsh, who plays General Lane, did say that he's heading back up to Vancouver to film his final episode. So it seems like he's going to be in episode 3, and that will be his final episode. So is he in episode 1 as well? And that makes it, the second and last episode. I'm not too sure. Maybe he was in episode 2 as well, and he's had a couple days break between filming his stuff for episode 2 and then filming his stuff for episode 3. I'm not too sure, but we know he's filming his final episode, and it looks to be episode 3. But yeah, it does make you wonder whether all those episodes with the Cushings in particular are in a row. So are they in episode 2, 3, and 4, maybe 5 as well if they get a few more. Those are the episodes with those characters in them, and then maybe they include the characters of like John Henry and Natalie later on, or maybe there is like a 1 or 2 episode sort of crossover of appearances, if you want to put it, in the later guest appearances for the Cushings, along with the earlier appearances of John Henry and Natalie for this season, just so all the characters are in at least 1 or 2 episodes each. I could see them doing that, but then again, they might space them out, just so there's guest characters in all the episodes or the majority of episodes. But yeah, I did mention John Henry and Natalie. We're still waiting on really any confirmation of other guest actors, being on set, or when they will be on set if they haven't already, outside of the Cushings. And as I said before, General Lane, at least him heading up there. But I do think we might get something like I talked about earlier, where they will be split, they'll be splitting the guest appearances up. So I guess the first reason for that is those guest characters get more time on screen for their respective episodes alongside the series regulars, and they're not, splitting heaps of characters within a limited amount of screen time. And it just helps story-wise with whatever is going on at that point. And the second reason, just to sort of spread the load. So those episodes in the middle of the seasons have the Kents having other people around them. And then the earlier and later episodes of the season are really, really just focused specifically on the Kents and what's happening story-wise. I think the premiere, which seems confirmed at the very least, as well as the finale, or maybe even the penultimate or second last episode of the show and series, outside of that possibility of General Lane being there, will have no guest characters, or at least any of the former series regulars. I think their stories and appearances will be from episode 2 through to episode 8, leaving episodes 1, maybe 9, but more specifically episode 1 and 10, as episodes for big story stuff against Lex Luthor, as well as the Kent family as a whole, and just sort of setting up and then wrapping up the show as a whole. Now, we do know that they did film in the downtown Smallville area for episode 1, the downtown street. We know that happened for episode 1. I think for episode 2 as well, we saw there was some production people and stuff. There was stuff happening there. Now, there is no updates. I know a lot of people are wondering, but there is no updates at this point on if they are planning on using that for the whole season yet. We don't know anything about what's happening there. Are they only using that for the first few episodes and then they're moving elsewhere? We don't know. I did see someone post a comment on a crew member's Instagram. I got that via Twitter and then clicked on the link and went to Instagram and I saw the stuff. And they were asking whether the set was being used for the whole season. The set in question, the downtown Smallville thing. And they replied, can't say. That's what they said, can't say. Which means, I guess, they don't know, which easily could be true, or they aren't at liberty to say, which could also be true, or it could be a bit of a mixture of the two. I think even if they do leave Smallville in this season, it won't be until episode 5 or 6 at least, if not later. And at least until the guest appearances are done with characters like the Cushings at the very least, because I think it's more likely that the Kents would leave Smallville than the Cushings or every single one of the Cushings. Now, I know people really want to know if they use Metropolis at all as a main setting, and I think that probably would have been a plan maybe initially, but maybe budget things have made them think maybe it's cheaper just to keep them in Smallville. I'm not too sure how it works budget-wise, what would be cheaper, or is it worth the effort and stuff like that. But I think Lex Luthor being a presence sort of suggests that Metropolis will be used in some capacity. But I think patience is probably the key here, folks. Like, just wait and see what happens in the next month of filming as they approach the halfway point. Like, Metropolis will play a part in it. Like, I think we know that's going to be the case. I think a lot of people are just wondering, is that going to be the main setting? And at least at the moment, it's not. But you just don't know how the story progresses throughout the season where that happens. You know, I think it was Indy Navarrete, I think it was, who plays Sarah. I think she was the one that she posted on Instagram, like, when you read the story for or when you start reading the scripts for season 4 of Superman Lois, and it was like, oh my god, or WTF, or something like that. So I think they're going to try and head out of the show with a bang. I'm just very curious, like, what type of bang that is. Is it like visually and like the grandness of it, or is it more just like the minor story details? That's for us to wait and find out, I guess. Now, one other point of question, which we've talked about a couple of times, or brought up a couple of times, might I say, in some videos in the past, is the stuff with Superboy. Now, it seems like he's probably going to have some sort of a bigger focus early on the season, because it just seems by everything that's happening on set and stuff like that, that Superman isn't a player. And even Tyler Hoechlin, like, he went to Europe or something for like a Teen Wolf convention while they were, I think, just after episode 1 was finishing filming. So like, that's not like you just go there for a day. Like, that's a bit of travel. So I think he's got a lot of time off in these earlier episodes, which really does indicate that Superman is not around and Clark Kent is not around. And we know that he filmed for episode 1, but that looked like a flashback. Like, that just looks like flashback stuff, even the way that they were dressed and everything like that. So it does look like Jordan's going to be a heavy hitter and a big player early on into the season, and more specifically the Superboy aspect as well. Now, we did get, I think, 2 photos or stuff, something like that, put on Instagram, where Jordan is in that black Superboy suit, like the proto Superboy suit, if you want to call it, that we had last season, and which does indicate that he's going to be, Superboy. And there was also him posting stuff on Instagram, like the stories thing, with him filming in a shipping yard, like with all the containers, like a shipping container yard. And it looks like that could maybe be like a fight scene, whether it's like stopping shipping containers from falling or whatever it might be, but it seems like it's going to be like some sort of action fight scene, whatever it is, or a mixture of the two. Now, a lot of people are wondering, are we going to get 2 suits? Are we going to get 2 Superboy suits? He's going to start with the proto one, as he's like sort of filling in that Superman role now that Superman's gone potentially, and then that would develop into something else as we head further into the season. He gets a better suit, because people have also noted that it seems like Alex Garfin, who plays Jordan, has been hitting the gym much more than he has in previous seasons, where he has still been being a superhero. So it makes you wonder, is he getting a bit fitter and a bit stronger to fit a suit? And that's a possibility. Like, that is a strong possibility. Now, a lot of people go, well, hold on, they wouldn't have the budget. The suits, they fall into it. And I think there's also some things where like Warner Brothers can chip in, because it then goes to like the Warner Brothers archives and everything like that. So the suits aren't too much of an issue, because they do become a bit of like a relic, and as I said, they go into the archives, a bit of an antique for the studio. So that's not too much of an issue, I don't think. And also, I think if they made him another suit, which is more Superboy-esque, I don't think they'd make it super expensive. I think they'd more make it just like, this is like the first stage in him having a proper suit after the proto suit, like the black suit with the goggles and everything like that. So I think it's actually a pretty strong chance now that we know that he's going to be, or what it looks like he's going to be stepping into that Superman role, or the protector of the earth at the very least, early on to this season, because it looks like Superman is going to be MIA from what we know so far. So I think him getting another suit is a decent option. You might have to let me know in the comment section down below if you agree. You might disagree, but I don't think it confirms it at all. I definitely do not think it confirms it one bit, but I definitely think it leans into it being a bit more likely than what we thought maybe a couple of weeks ago. Now, speaking of time, because I did say a couple of weeks, so a bit of a segue there, a lot of people are wondering about the premiere date. Has there been any sort of updates in regards to that thing we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, where not just the CW, but network TV as a whole is considering delaying shows that they might have been aiming to release in like June, July, May, and just holding them for the fall date, so in like late September, early October. From what we know, there's nothing coming out about that. There's no real hints from the CW wise in regards to them picking up shows to then air where we thought Superman and Lois and the other CW shows would have premiered, like in maybe June, July. There's no hints of that at the very least. but the CW does pick up shows very late. It's literally right at the beginning of February right now, first week of February. So there's a long time between the potential release date that we're going to get and where they might move it and just slot some other shows in there. So at the moment, we should still expect, I guess, like a June, July release date, but don't be surprised if they move to fall, because there has been, you know, a rumor out there that not just the CW, but all the networks are considering delaying their shows just so it falls in line with what would normally happen. And I did see some people asking about a trailer. I mean, sure, they filmed almost 2 episodes, and like if Comic-Con was on, you usually get a trailer for a season after they film 1 episode. So they could, you know, put together a trailer if they really wanted to, but I would not expect one for ages. We don't expect a trailer until they confirm a release date. When they confirm a release date, then we can start talking about, okay, when's the trailer going to come out? And I'd expect the trailer to come out a month before the show comes out. That's usually been the CW model for the past like 2 years or so. They usually release the first trailer about a month before the show comes out, especially once COVID sort of messed with release dates and the flow of things. So yeah, trailer date ages away. We got to wait for a release date, and then we can start talking about when the hell a trailer's coming. But you know, we're not really getting that many set photos. A lot of the stuff is coming just from like the actors' Instagrams and stories and stuff like that. But once again, as I've said for a while, we haven't really gotten too many set photos from Superman and Lois in the past. So when we do, it's a rarity. But usually when they do come out, they're usually pretty good. Like the hit rate of like a good set photo with Superman and Lois compared to other shows is usually high because we don't get that many of them. But when they do come, they're usually pretty good to look at. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like and show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various thoughts and everything we went over in this video. Always curious to read what you guys are thinking. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.